Greetings, everybody. My name is James. I am from the internet. Today we are going to be talking about imitation. Now, ever since Donald Trump packed up his belongings in D.C. and went on down to Florida to retire, like most wealthy, white 75-year-old dudes do, the Republican Party has been working overtime, both individually and as a group, trying to figure out the way to imitate what Donald Trump did leading up to the 2016 election. In other words, Donald Trump showed them the special sauce, but now they are all trying to find ways to imitate the recipe themselves so that they can then launch themselves forward as the next Donald Trump. So what I would like to do with you today is show you a play in 3 acts so that you can see for yourself what the people at the very top of the Republican Party are doing to imitate Donald Trump, separate themselves from the pack, and become the clear front runners for the 2024 Republican presidential nomination. Yeah, it started early, gang, because here in the United States of America, politics 24/7, 365. Here we go. Act number 1 starts about a week ago down in Texas, where Governor Greg Abbott, a Trump disciple and pretender to the crown, has been doing his own thing down there in between ERCOT shutdowns to try to find his version of the Trump secret sauce and to imitate the machine. And well, this is what he came up with, and to his credit, very Trumpian. Governor Greg Abbott is using a disaster declaration to help fund a border wall. Democrats say it's an overreach of executive powers. And while the Democrats in the Texas House are busy talking about what an overreach it is, Governor Greg Abbott is just moving forward doing what he's doing. Again, very Trumpian. Over the past year, Governor Greg Abbott has issued disaster declarations across the state for a number of tragedies. The coronavirus pandemic that killed more than 50,000 Texans, a winter storm that left millions of people in freezing temperatures without power for days, hurricanes and floods that wiped out homes and local infrastructure. Quick side note here that every single time Greg Abbott declares an official state of emergency, well then he activates FEMA and federal government resources. You know, because Texas is the Lone Star state that's built on people picking themselves up by their bootstraps, except for every single year when they have to run to the federal government and get lots of juicy aid because, of course, they don't prepare for their own disasters because they know that the welfare mommy state, which is what they call the federal government, will be there to fix things for them. Well played, Greg Abbott. But I digress. Let me continue. The disaster declarations give the governor broad power to suspend state laws and regulations that hinder a jurisdiction's recovery from a disaster and to allow the use of available resources to respond to the disaster. On May 31st, the 2-term Republican governor, who is seeking re-election next year, took the unprecedented step of declaring a disaster for 34 counties based on an increase of illegal immigration at the Texas-Mexico border. The declaration allowed Abbott to request the reallocation of $250 million of legislatively approved funds towards a border wall construction project pushed by his office. Not soon after this, Greg Abbott then went out and started seeking private contributions to build sections of the wall. Literally, the governor of the state of Texas is giving press conferences just going, yeah, so, if you're out there and you just got some extra money and you want to donate it so we can build the wall that Mexico was supposed to pay for like 6 years ago, that'd be great. Thanks. Yeah, that really happened. However, the larger issue here is the power grab by Abbott declaring immigration a state of emergency, and with that, getting a whole bunch of extra powers granted to him by the charter of the state. And apparently the majority of the state legislature is just kind of handcuffed and they're just talking outrage while Abbott's writing $250 million checks, which, by the way, nobody has discussed yet which part of the already approved budget that the $250 million is going to come from. If I were a betting man, I would guess schools or voting precincts. Also, not ones where majority white people live. So now I bring you Act 2 of the play. Also, pointing out that imitation is again at work. South Dakota Governor Kristi Noem to send National Guard troops to southern border. No, she's not sending them to the southern border of South Dakota. She's sending the South Dakota National Guard to the Texas-Mexico border to go help Governor Abbott, who seemingly stumbled upon a great play here, and now everybody wants a piece of the action. The governor of South Dakota announced Tuesday her intent to deploy state National Guard troops to Texas to assist in securing the U.S.-Mexico border from illegal entrants, according to a press release, which of course is intended to get lots of press coverage. It's what you do when you're trying to imitate Donald Trump. Governor Kristi Noem, a Republican, said her decision is in response to Texas Governor Greg Abbott's request for more assistance to help police at the border. A private donation will fund an initial deployment of up to 50 troops to Texas for between 30 to 60 days, the press release said. I'm sorry, private donation? Don't worry, we'll talk about that individually by itself in just a second. Quote, the border is a national security crisis that requires the kind of sustained response only the National Guard can provide, for apparently 30 to 60 days when funded by private citizens, but we should not be making our own communities less safe by sending our police or highway patrol to fix a long-term problem President Biden's administration seems unable or unwilling to solve. My message to Texas is this: help is on the way. Once again, this was sent out in a press release by our press department. Totally not political theatrics at all, and definitely not looking to imitate Donald Trump by getting as much free publicity as she can. Totally not a thing, right? Earlier this month, Abbott and Governor Doug Ducey of Arizona sent a joint letter to governors of the remaining states to ask for supplemental law enforcement to help arrest those illegally crossing the border. The Biden administration, quote, has proven unwilling or unable to do the job, the Republican governors wrote. And then they stated that the number of illegal border crossings is at its highest point since 2006, which is really weird because you would think if he doesn't have enough people at the border to stop immigration, he surely wouldn't have enough people at the border to count all the immigrants that they weren't catching. But again, cool. Outrage, imitation. Outrage, imitation. Got it. That's the plan. I'm with you. So, can we talk about the private donors funding the state National Guard? Can we discuss that real quick? Ian Fury, who is totally not from a comic book or anything like that, Noem's spokesperson, told Time magazine that this particular South Dakota deployment will be paid by Willis and Reba Johnson's Foundation, a charitable group from Franklin, Tennessee. Quote, Governor Noem welcomes any such donations to help alleviate the cost to South Dakota taxpayers. Hey, you know what would help alleviate the cost to South Dakota taxpayers? Maybe not sending South Dakota's National Guard to Mexico, but again, what do I know? I'm not in politics. I just read articles on the YouTubes. Willis Johnson is the founder of Copart Inc., a publicly traded auto salvage and auction company. Forbes estimates Johnson is worth $2.2 billion. According to Federal Election Commission filings, he's donated to a variety of GOP candidates in recent years, including $200,000 to the Trump Victory Committee in 2020 and a donation for the same amount 4 years earlier. And if you're thinking to yourself, that can't be good if wealthy people could just, buy their own military and go do military stuff, well, I have a little historical precedent for you on this one. An important politician once observed, no man can truly be called rich if he can't maintain his own army on his own income. That man was Marcus Licinius Crassus, one of the central figures in Rome's long slide from republic to failed empire. Of course, he didn't have a billionaire used car salesman to foot the bill for him. However, Kristi Noem does. So Why the hell not go for it? It's free theatrics, right? Again, you're imitating Donald Trump. And now, here is where I show you where Trump and all these people come together. Pay close attention. Earlier this morning, South Carolina Republican Governor Henry McMaster tweeted out, "What is happening at our southern border is a crisis. That's why I deployed over 300 National Guard troops to help our border states. The South Carolina National Guard is the best in the nation, and they're doing a great service to their country by helping protect our border." And by our border, again, he means Texas's border, not South Carolina's, where he's the governor, and he just sent 300 of his own troops to another state. Right behind him, and not to be outdone, Republican Arkansas Governor Asa Hutchinson authorized the deployment of 40 members of the Arkansas National Guard to Texas on Tuesday. Hey, I know it's only 40, but come on, it's Arkansas. And so now I tell you about act number 3. Act number 3 happens just a few days from now, when Donald Trump is slated to fly to Texas and appear with Governor Abbott in front of the half-built wall. This press junket will now also include Kristi Noem, the governor of South Carolina, the governor of Arkansas, and more than likely any other Republican governor who wants to hop on the train and send some troops down to Texas in return for a free photo op with the man, the myth, the legend himself, often imitated but never duplicated, Donald J. Trump. A play in 3 acts. Oh, by the way, like any good play, this play also has an epilogue, and it looks something like this. I'll never forget last summer when Oregon was on fire, that the Oregon National Guard helicopters that would normally be used for firefighting were not available because they were in Afghanistan, where Donald Trump sent them. You know, to help out his friends in the Middle East while Americans burned to death and died. Oh, by the way, it was 114 degrees in Portland yesterday. Looks like we're having a little bit of a heat wave and dryness problem that is more than likely going to lead to, checks notes, wildfires. But it's okay, because all the National Guards people are going to be down in Texas, standing behind Donald Trump and a bunch of imitators as they discuss the true scourge and problem in the United States of America, those damned immigrants. Hopefully, there won't be too much wildfire smoke in the background to ruin the shot. Now, yes, all of this is nothing more than posturing and political gamesmanship. And obviously, I'm pointing it out to you now because it's going to become the norm in between now, the midterms, and then with greater acceleration into the 2024 general election, as all of these Republicans jockey for position in the hopes of becoming the next Donald Trump. They want to capture that Trump energy in a bottle, shake it up, and drink it, and then go out onto stage and yell 3-syllable slogans unintelligibly and hear everybody yell it back at them. Everybody wants that. They want to be the next power broker. But here is the larger issue. We now have elected officials running amok, creating their own private militaries out of a public resource, which is there for emergencies, solely for the purpose of political posturing and trying to imitate a one-term president who was impeached twice in 4 years. But none of these pretenders, these imitators, they don't care. They don't care about the people in their own state, and they sure as shit don't care about the country. They just care about getting their hands on larger levers that are attached to larger wheels of power. So I suggest you all buckle up, because it is going to be a very bumpy 3 years over in the red states. Until next time, my name is James. I am from the internet, and I am out. Peace.